Hi loves, welcome to Discover You podcast. This is a community where you can show up exactly as you are, learn, grow, and discover how to stand in the power of who you want to be. I'm your host, Shar. Welcome, and let's dive in and discover you. Hey, you guys, welcome back to Discover You podcast. Today we are back talking all about self-care today. So I feel like things are really heavy in the world. Things are feeling very challenging in the world. And I'm never going to BS you. I'm never going to not talk about the things that are happening because they're relevant to our energy, our feelings, our emotions, how we are functioning through life. We are aware, we are awakened beings, and we just need to be sure that we're taking care of ourselves in these crazy times. So if you're joining me here on the podcast, be sure to follow along on whatever device you're listening on, whether it be Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, all of that fun stuff. And also if you're watching over here on YouTube with me in video format, be sure to subscribe and like the channel, like this video, comment down below if you feel called to. And of course, leave me a review on the podcast wherever you're listening on your device. It would mean so much to me to hear from you guys and to know that you're enjoying the content, enjoying the podcast, so we can stay connected and we can help get this podcast out to other people that may need this community and this support. So let's dive into today's episode on self-care, self-love, nourishing, loving, soothing your soul on the Discover You podcast. All right, so we hear all about self-care. We hear all about this buzzword of like, make sure you self-care. And everyone's like, what the heck does that mean? So what is self-care? Self-care is choosing to do what feels good for you, for your body, for your mind, and for your soul. So it looks very different and very specific to every person. I know some people that just love to veg out into TV and that is their time to decompress and self-care. I know other people who want to go get a mani-pedi. Other people want to go eat a bunch of chocolate. Other people want to get outside and work out or get out into nature. And some people just have whatever it is their thing is. Reading a book makes you take away from day-to-day stuff, or a project, or going out with a friend. Whatever that looks like, your self-care can be so specific to you, and that's what's really beautiful about self-care is it's like kind of just like trying different things and what allows you to feel really nourished and really happy and really within self. And I think that we often forget that we don't need to make some extravagant Sunday nights or self-care routines or whatever. Like, you don't have to make it a whole event. You can do little snippets out of each day that allow you to feel really within yourself and really supported within yourself. So I think it's really narrowing down, what is that for you? What do you love to do that makes you feel really present with your body, makes you feel very connected to your body, your mind, your emotions? So it's really coming to a place where you're honoring what's going on and what you're feeling. As we move through this time right now, I did an episode a few weeks ago on the podcast talking all about the convoy, the truckers' convoy in Canada, and all of the huge movement that's happening with this. And there's so much energy. There is so much firing up. There is so much happening. There is mandates lifting in certain provinces. Things are starting to shift. There is starting to become an impact and a shift and a change from what's happening with the convoy. But there's also a lot of misinformation happening, a lot of, blasting on media of things that are not true or falsified or exaggerated or blown up to look a certain way. And there's also a lot of hate coming and moving through social media. There's a lot of information coming at us where it's feeling very overwhelming. And even for me, I really feel that the last few days, my mind and my heart have just felt so heavy with seeing mandates are lifting and there's hope for Alberta where I live, and then there's hope for now Manitoba, Saskatchewan, but then BC is locking down harder and they're putting more double vaccination requirements in, which just absolutely breaks my heart. And it's a very heavy feeling to see people losing their jobs, to see people having to force their body to do something they don't want to do. Like, it's just, there's a lot. There's a lot. And then, like, seeing the premiers and leaders who just won't step up, who won't help. And there's a lot of good happening, a lot of people stepping up, but there's a lot of people that are not stepping up. So it's just feeling very heavy and feeling very emotional. I'm sure you're feeling a mix of all these emotions. I think I go from like one moment where I'm like, one day I'm fired up and I'm like, rah, rah, rah. And then the next day I'm just like completely crashing and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how to like exist in all of this stuff because we're consuming so much. So I think it's really important to separate the time and having some more structure around our social media, around things that are happening in the world, whether it's social media, the news, people, and having these conversations. I think that it's really important to turn the noise off and to set times in your day or times in like your week where you're not consuming, where you're not constantly looking at that social media, getting that hit, getting hit with all of the stuff in the world, because it can be really overwhelming and can also like enter your emotional like energy field, and you just kind of feel like it just becomes content overload. And I'm sure you've experienced this, I'm sure you feel it most days, if not every day, because we're so addicted to our phones, we're so consumed by them. So I think that it really takes like understanding that we can separate from that and that you can be into a movement or into the information, the research, etc., whatever. But I think that it's very integral and crucial to have that separation too. So learning to shut off the noise and perhaps, plug your phone in and leave it, like set it and forget it kind of thing. We leave it alone so that way we have the capacity to be like present in our life, to understand what's happening with our emotions, our body, our mind. We spend so much time away from that. And I think that self-care is a really beautiful way to express that part of you. How can you take care of yourself and support your body? So like maybe it's again like working out or doing some type of movement is where your heart's at and where you really feel like in your body, in your, whatever that is that allows you to kind of think, okay, I'm taking care of myself in one aspect or another. Something that I love doing is having a bubble bath with Epsom salts and essential oils, and I make like this big juicy drink. And I don't drink alcohol anymore, but I make this like delicious like soda water with like a bunch of frozen fruit in it, and it is the most like delicious, satisfying thing to have in the bathtub. So it's become like my routine of doing that and just trying to like be with self and be hanging out in the bathtub and maybe doing a face mask or whatever that looks like, just kind of being present with myself. And I think that looks different for everybody. Some people love to read, some people love to do crafts or art. Maybe just hanging out in front of the TV and numbing your brain is self-care to you. Like whatever it is, I also love TV and have become more of a Netflix addict than I'd like to admit. But it's just really finding that awareness of like what brings you joy, what brings that happiness out. So really kind of knowing that the feelings are existing where you're feeling the overwhelm, you're feeling too much, you're feeling stress, you're feeling anxiety, whatever it might be. And then learning to be like, okay, like I need to do something that makes me feel good. So like I love a bubble bath. I love, a delicious fruity non-cocktail. I love yoga. I love to meditate. For me, the presence of being with myself and tuning into what's going on has really allowed me to have that awareness of like, what do I need today? Do I need to do yoga? Do I need to be in my body? Do I need to just totally like chill out, right? And I think that we have this idea of like, whether we're spouses or mothers or fathers listening, like whatever your situation or your life looks like, we spend most of our time giving to other people and we have so little time for ourselves. So even if like you are a mother and you're struggling to find time for yourself, setting that like 1 hour where you need you time, right? Just having those moments to really just tune into like what's going on, even if it's like in the bathroom and you're like, hey, I'm just gonna like lock the door for 5 minutes and just like zen out, like whatever that is for you, finding that capacity in your life and in your day. It's just so integral to really feeling your best and to really be supporting your mental health, because right now there's like all of this chaos, like the world's shifting and it's improving in so many aspects, and we're like bringing in all this awareness to Canada, and people are like, look at Canada, look what they're doing, like it's so amazing. Yet it's also so heavy to have leaders who don't want to address anything, they don't want to change anything, like the big leaders, like the guy that's way up there. It's heartbreaking to see that, like, there's still so much division of sides, and there shouldn't have ever been sides. So I think it's a really overwhelming space to be in all the time. And that's why I wanted to talk about this on the podcast today and talk about self-care, because at the end of the day, you come first. Like, the most important thing is that, like, when you wake up in the morning, having that, like, check-in with yourself. So, like, wake up, kind of stretch, move around, lay in bed and be like, okay, how am I feeling today? Like, how does my heart feel? Am I waking up anxious? Am I waking up stressed? Am I waking up like panicked to an alarm? Like, having this understanding of how are you feeling, so we can move through our day and actually know what's up before we pick up our phone and start to consume the world and start to see what's happening in the world. And it's a really hard habit to break. It's a really strange thing when you're like, we've gotten this motor habit of looking at our phones. And I feel like it's detrimental. I notice myself doing it when I'm at work. Like, my phone's on my desk and it's like nothing's lighting up, but I'm just going to look at it anyway and just check Instagram and open it just for that, like, serotonin hit of nothing. Like, it's just the strangest way that we're functioning as humans, and technology continues to expand and grow, and the connection to everything is so beautiful and has so many great benefits. But I also think that we lose this connection to ourselves. We lose this momentum that we need to, like, put ourselves first and focus on how we can truly, truly feel our best and feel good in our bodies, in our minds, in our heart, because life is more about what's happening present. Like, your present existence is all you really have. Yes, you can set goals and you can strive forward and you can, plan the future, but we don't know if tomorrow is a guarantee. We don't know what direction life will take us. And if we can harness the presence of now and the moments right now, whether it's, the gratitude and the awareness of self and how you feel and how your words impact the people that are sitting in front of you right now, having that attunement to yourself, I think that is really what the beautiful gift of life is. It's not about, what happens at that next appointment or that next event or the next vacation or plan for the future. Like, of course, have goals and have movement forward, but what about right now? How are you feeling right now? What's happening right now that we can harness, focus on, heal, connect with, nurture that part of us, that delicacy of being a human, that softness in our heart. We are so rigid and guarded and routined as we move through life. But what about, like, what's really going on? And have you sat with yourself at all or checked in at all lately? To be like, what's up with me? Where am I at? How am I feeling? And these emotions that arise from this question, you might be, I'm asking you this now, and then you might be sitting there going, oh my God, like, I don't know. When's the last time I talked to myself or sat with myself or had a moment? These emotions that arise might not be good emotions. You might feel anxious or stressed or worried or angry or in pain or whatever it is. But it's not about whether it's a good or a bad emotion. It's just about understanding the emotion, noticing and being the watcher of what's going on with you and being like, okay, how do I actually feel? And there's something really beautiful about harnessing that awareness and starting to kind of just have little check-ins with yourself, like take a breath and settle the noise out and just be like, okay, like, what's going on? Deep breaths, all good, like, and I feel like that is just the most important thing that you can ever do for yourself, is put yourself first. Know that you come first, because that's where the true connection to life is within self. Because if you show up as a you know, a best version of yourself, an aware version of yourself, you can really bring that energy into your life, into the people that are with you, people that are around you. That's like pure bliss right there. Is just, and not that life isn't hard and there's not struggles and there's not moments where you're like, oh my God, because there's still going to be all of the stuff and all the shit that happens and things you need to navigate and things you need to, work through or whatever. But having that appreciation for right now, that awareness for, okay, what's up right now in my life? It's absolutely beautiful. It is like so, so beautiful when you start to tap into that energy. So self-care, how do we do it? How do we figure out what we like? How do we start to navigate this? Maybe you have no self-care routine. So the best way to start to uncover this is to sit down with yourself. So find a moment, 5 minutes in the day, grab a notepad or a notebook or a piece of paper, whatever you got, and just write down some things that you enjoy, some things that make you feel good. So maybe you like going for a walk outside. Maybe you like drinking a nice glass of wine. Maybe you like meditating. Whatever it is, write down those things and see what you can plan to do maybe that day or in a couple of days or whenever time allows to be like, okay, I'm going to focus on that and I'm just going to be present in that moment, because self-care is really all about the presence of what you're doing and being present in the situation and in the task or the moment of what you're pursuing or doing. So write those things down on a notepad. Just jot a bunch down. I can name off a bunch that I like to do, whether it's TV, love watching TV, love a bath, love to meditate, love yoga, love getting outside in nature when the weather is nice and it allows. I like looking at the stars. I like sitting in my yoga space here in my loft and looking at the stars. So like it can be the simplest, silliest little thing, listening to some great music, whatever your jam is, whatever allows you to just feel good, that good feeling. We don't spend enough of our day into that good feeling. We don't spend enough time reaching for joy, and we're so focused on what to do next and what to clean and how to cook and where to go and what to do and I gotta run this errand and I gotta do this. Our mind just gets busy and crazy and we're not really seeking out those joyful moments and those joyful experiences. So this is a beautiful way to just kind of look at some things that you can do for you that you don't necessarily have to do with somebody else. If you want to do it with somebody else, you totally can. You can go to the spa with a friend, or you can go for a drive with your spouse, or you can go get a coffee, or whatever it is. But it's like, what do you want to do that will bring you joy and presence in your life? Something that brings you a lot of gratitude, because we don't spend enough time in gratitude. We spend a lot of time outside of ourselves in our devices. And I think that as you start to harness this and start to work on self-care, start to kind of uncover what you like to do, it starts to allow you to pull away from the phone, from the things, and allows you to just separate from that stuff. So it's a really beautiful way of just allowing space for you. And as you practice this, like anything else, just like when you go to the gym for the first time, it's like awful and hard and you don't know what the heck you're doing and it hurts and your body's like, oh my God. But then like as you harness it with time, the gym gets easier and you get more accustomed to it. You start to understand how it works and what to do. Same thing with self-awareness, self-care. You're going to kind of just tiptoe into it, try a few different things, see what's working. And then if it's not your jam, you don't do it. And you just kind of start to create a routine around reaching for joy, reaching for presence with self, asking yourself these questions. Because we spend a lot of our time just outside of ourselves. Like we really do. And I really felt that pull and really felt that harshness with what's going on in the world, with the convoy. It's just like this outwardly draw to like not check in with myself, to not be like, hey, what's going on with you? How are you feeling? And it's consuming, right? Life is consuming. The moments, the things, stresses, all the stuff you gotta do, it's consuming. So I really feel like taking a step back, unplug from that, decompress, tap into what you want to do, start to do that thing and start to see how you feel, start to notice what's going on. And it might not be easy in the beginning. It might be challenging, like we said with the gym example. And emotionally, you might not be doing okay right now, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be joyful and great and oh, it's so fun and perfect, because it's probably not. It's going to take some time to kind of get into that moment and get present, and then start to reach for that gratitude and start to realize the gratitude as you're doing these things that is nurturing and serving to you. So that's kind of in a nutshell how to self-care, how to start, and just how to kind of navigate this, becoming more aware and tuned into self and pulling away from all of the external noise and just really taking the time to care for yourself and to nurture yourself in your everyday life. So I will leave the podcast here. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode on talking about self-care, how to start a routine, how to tune in with yourself, and just truly loving who you are and knowing how you feel. That power is so strong, and that power is within you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Be sure to like this video over on YouTube. Go subscribe if you're not already subscribed to this channel. And be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening to on the podcast. So follow along on Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, all of those places. And leave me a review down below if you feel called to. Just sharing what you think or how you feel. Sharing this podcast with anybody who might be needing it right now. And just knowing that you're not alone and that you're not suffering and struggling alone in the crazy times that we're experiencing. Even though we're transitioning away from the crazy times, there's still a lot of stuff going on and a lot of baggage from those times. So take care of yourself. Start your self-care routine. Start feeling good in your body, your mind, your heart, and your soul. And I will talk to you guys next week on the Discover You podcast. Thanks so much, you guys.